Okay, everybody got their prompts?
Yeah.
Okay. Today is March 18th, 2016, and we've assembled a number of the pioneering women in ultramarathon running today to talk about their careers and talk in general about the sport. This is part of a series of conference calls I've been conducting. I'm Gary Corbett. After the passing of my father, Ted Corbett, I have taken on the mission of doing all I can to help preserve the sport of long-distance running and all the facets of long-distance running. I had the opportunity to grow up and see the sport grow in the late 50s and early throughout the 60s. And one of my missions not only to preserve my father's legacy, but to preserve the legacy of all the pioneers of the sport, people that will easily be forgotten if we don't raise their names up and document the sport. History is very fragile, and we need to capture it while we can. So that's the purpose of this conference call and others that planning to do and have done in the past. We dedicate this call to the late Ruth Anderson, and have Ann Trayson start just talking a little bit about Ruth and her impact on the sport. Ann?
Hello, I'm back.
Ann, we'll talk a little bit about Ruth, please. Is Ann still on the line?
Yeah, I got disconnected and I'm back.
Okay, sorry about that.
I got disconnected too.
Wow. Okay.
But I'm
Hopefully
back.
That won't happen.
Too.
Okay. Again, we want to start the call, but we're dedicating this call to Ruth Anderson, and I'd like you to talk a little about Ruth and her impact on the sport.
Well, I was one of the first women that I met running ultras when I was running, and she took quite an interest in the young girls, like 25, I considered myself a girl, in the sport. And it was, not only incredible what she was doing, she was sponsored by Nike, and she had such a passion for running, and she trained very diligently and took it very seriously, and she became so involved with the association and then on the national level. I don't think the sport would be where it is today if it hadn't been for Ruth. And, you could talk about all her races. I went to Ultra Sign Up. They have 35 races. Her last race was in 2002. She ran a 12-hour. She did, I think, 40 miles at age, I think it was 74. No, maybe age 72, sorry. But, yeah, to me it was more that she would just call after every race and want to make sure when I did races internationally how the parties at the national parties were treating the people on the team. And she just was a very fair and generous and kind person who you could really share the love of running with.
And when you speak, to identify who you are. But anyone else just want to weigh in right now about Ruth?
Well, this is Mark. I would just say that I never had the pleasure to meet Ruth, and I think she was probably a little bit before my time. But I've heard nothing but wonderful stories and good things about Ruth, and I'm just sorry I never got to meet Ruth. That's all.
This is, I'm sorry, Marge. This is Randy, and I did have the pleasure of meeting Ruth on a few occasions. And she was our team manager, wasn't she, for the World Championships at Duluth, the 100K?
She probably, this is Ann Trayson, she was probably sometimes the manager. I can't remember. I only did it once with the team like that in '95, and I can't remember who the manager was, to be quite honest.
Oh, but yeah, the 100K in Duluth wasn't that in '90?
Oh, that's right. Yes, she was there. Exactly.
Yeah,
totally
she was our team manager for the U.S. team. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was so active in the ultra running subcommittee for the Athletics Congress too.
Yeah, and they have an award still that they give out, USATF, I think, I don't know if they do in the day, but they used to. I think they still do, where it's the number one, ultra runner they decide of the year, and it's dedicated to her. I'm putting on a race in Auburn, a little race, but I'm dedicating. I used to put Dick Collins. That was her buddy, her best friend, Dick Collins. I used to put on his race, and then I stopped doing that. But now I'm going to put on a race and have an award. I used to have a Dick Collins Rookie Award for the first person who ran their ultra, but now I'm going to give an award for the oldest finisher, man and woman. There's going to be a Ruth Anderson Award at the Overlook. So that's sort of my way of trying to make sure that her and Margie Reed, who's an old new Ruth a little bit, is a fairly good painter, and so she's told me that she will do a little painting of the course, and that'll be what you get.
I've seen Margie's paintings. She's very good.
Yes, she's excellent. So I asked her if she would donate the two little, 8x10s, I think we decided, and one will go to the oldest male and one will go to the oldest female, and they'll be called the Ruth Anderson.
Awesome.
Do you have a date for that yet, Anne?
Yeah, it's October 15th.
September?
October, excuse me.
October 15th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love,
You should let us all know when, or send us something. That might be a fun road trip.
Oh, I would love to have everyone there.
I get very passionate.
There's 3. I'm adding another one. Well, really, we're going to have 4 distances, but you won't qualify for one of them. There's a 50K. Well, I'll tell you why. There's a 50K, a 30K, and I'm going to add a 10-mile. And then we're going to have kiddie races. We're going to have a half mile, a mile for, I haven't decided at what age, probably 20 and under. Sometime I'd like to do a 5K for the older kids, but there will be a half a mile race too.
Oh, great. Wonderful.
Sounds like a great
event. We were hoping it'll be like kind of a family affair. A lot of the people I work with, people in the area, they have kids, so and one or both parents runs, so it'll be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Okay, let's start on with the panelists, and then we can talk more about Ruth and also about the sport in general. But let's start with Eileen.
Yes, this is Eileen, and I just wanted to say I'm really honored to be with all of you great ultra-distance women runners. Donna Gukin started and had great confidence in me. This was 1969. She had a jogging group in the park, and I had never run a mile. And then 1971 was the first Mission Bay Marathon, and Donna encouraged the race director, Ken Bernard, to have an entry for women. That would be the first time that women were in the marathon in Mission Bay. And I did a 4:04. I was pretty much in the back of the pack, and I loved it. And it was a great thing. And then I really think that all the marathons that Donna took me to, probably I've run over 50 and in my lifetime, but the ultra distance, I really loved Ernst Van Auken. He gave his athletes 30-mile training runs at a 9-minute mile, and he felt that then in the last 6 of the marathon, they could really go training at 30. So I wanted to follow that. And when I heard that Tom Sturak up at L.A. Striders, Jackie Hansen's husband, he had a 50-mile on the track in 1973. But I did run Rockland, and that was in 1970. And that was Natalie Cullimore she had a record. What I was able to do, just 8 hours and 10 minutes for that Rockland. And then I went to Santa Monica City College. We started at 3 in the afternoon, and 200 laps of the college track. It was a dirt track, and it was great running into the evening, and I was able to establish some records because of being a pioneer. And Natalie's time was 7:35, and I did 7:05. And at that time, I established some American track records, and my marathon 3:55, and then on to 50 at 7:05. I came back the next year in 1973, and I did a 6:55, and then the next year I came back and I did a slow in 8 hours, 10 minutes. But then there was the Pepsi Reno Lake Tahoe, 1979. I was 34 years old, and I did run the 72-miler. We started at 6 in the morning. It was pretty cold, and I just kept my pace going, and my family were in the car in a little Volvo giving me gluconate. Donna's husband, Bill, formulated it, and we were the guinea pigs, and it has helped me through all of my long-distance runs. Now it's called Vitalite, and I was able to keep my pace up. A lot of people walked during the race, but I was able, they had a 7-mile hill between 40 and 50, and I was 75th. I was 13th overall out of 75 runners, and I passed Marcy Sham at 53 miles. She had just run, I think, an ultra maybe the week before, but anyway, I passed her, and I finished 11 hours, 43 minutes, 22 seconds. I'll always remember that. And it was, a 10-minute mile would have been a 12-hour 72, but I guess I went a little bit faster than that. But that's really my, we did a lot of ultra training. Frank Sheppish and I, a runner from the track club, would run from Mission Bay to Del Mar and back, 40 miles. We'd carry our gluconate, have one big cup, have our powder, stop at gas stations, and just slow. And I still love running. I'm 70 now, and I ran every rock and roll except for 2014. Last year, 15, I ran the half, and I love running, and I keep a low stride, and I admire all the ultra distance. The 100-milers, I've never run 100. I wanted to always run London to Brighton, but that's 52-plus miles, but I never was able to do that. But I was so honored to be with you, Anne, and everyone. Dixie Madsen she's incredible, and all you great runners. Anyway, that's my story.
Thanks, Eileen. Questions for Eileen?
So are you still running, Eileen, and doing any racing? You are?
I'm a loose person. I'm not really, just the rock and roll half, and Donna got me to run the Balboa Boogie, and a 12-minute mile is a race for me. But all of my marathons, I did 17 rock and rolls and Catalina, about 16 or 17 Catalinas, and they're all in the 5, 6, whatever hour range. But as the wisdom of George Sheehan, no matter how old I get, the race remains one of life's most rewarding experiences. My times become slower, but the experience of the race is unchanged. Each race is a drama, each race a challenge, each race stretching me in one way or another, and each race telling me more about myself and others. And Joe Henderson I loved him in Runner's World magazine, LSD training, and that's what I did, and I loved it. And Donna Dukin was very, very much, and she still to this day gets me out swimming and not orienteering, but she's wonderful.
Oh, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Swimming and running, I love it.
Wonderful.
This is
Lori, Eileen.
I did do biking. I was able to do 100 miles. I just go at Lake Murray, 8 loops, and add on to in San Diego. I don't really go on the road, but I would swim a mile, and I'd try my own little triathlon, my little half Ironman. I would swim in the Y a mile and then go to the lake and ride what you're supposed to do. I forgot what that was for a half Ironman, and then I would do the half marathon, and I just did my own little thing. But the race is really the ultimate. It really is. I still have a dream of getting back into the rock and roll marathon.
Do you need to qualify for it?
No. I did have a cancer. That's why I couldn't run 14. I did 27 miles on my birthday, in December, and just in the neighborhood, I do loops, 8 to 10 loops of a 2.5 mile course. But they diagnosed a cancer starting in the salivary gland at the base of the skull, and I had a biopsy, and they found it was a rare thing. So I had 35 radiations and 3 chemos, but I'm a year and 8 months post-treatment, so
all right.
I'm hanging in there.
All right, and still running.
Yes, still running. I'll never give it up. I ran 2.5 this morning at 5 o'clock. I love running in the dark. I don't mind.
Oh, wow.
This is Lou Payton, and I have a question. When you say you are running, are you not incorporating walking in that? Is that solid running?
It's a very low stride, and it's running. I do cross training. Maybe I'll walk the 2 loops of my 2.5 course once or twice a week, but I really like to run. Mm-hmm. And music. I forgot to say that maybe I was a pioneer in music. I had a Panasonic radio, it was the shape of maybe a cigarette box that I held during my 50 mile on the track. This was before they had earbuds, and it kept me going, listening to the Doobie Brothers. I would do my training runs, my 5 hour, listening to Casey Kasem's Top 40 on Sunday morning.
All right.
I really love running music.
Great.
Eileen, you're Santa Monica 705 7 hours, 5 minutes, 31 seconds. That was a world record for 50 miles, correct?
Yes, Tom Sturak wrote a nice little article that my brother saved, and they set American record because maybe they didn't really have a world 50-mile kind of a deal, but it was great. And it said, on her way, Eileen established the following marks, all of them American track records and world best performances. My 20-mile was 2:58. My 20K was 1:50. 15-mile 2:13. 25K 2:19. 30K 2:46. 20-mile 2:58. 35K 3:15. 40K 3:43. 25-mile 3:44. Marathon 3:55. And 30-mile 4:26. 50-kilometer 4:37. 40-mile 5:49. That was anyway. There weren't women running that distance like that on a track back then. So that was fun to get those records.
The women. You've mentioned some. Let's go over the women because you were really one of the very first to do ultras in this country. Who were the other women again who were running? You were competing against?
Yes, Natalie Cullimore, Cullimore. Her best ever road mark was 7:26, and that was at Rockland. And I did 8 hours and 10 minutes on that same road course, and that was in 1972. And then Natalie set, let's see, the old record was 7:35, set by Dolphin South Ender Natalie Cullimore at Rockland in 1970. So, but I don't think there was any record of, Tom Sturak, that 50-mile was his first on the track, the first race, like that. So, let's see, yeah. And Marcy Sham, do you know her, Gary?
Yes.
She was the one that at the Pepsi Reno Lake Tahoe, she was the one that I passed at 53 miles. And I think she was tired from doing an ultra the week before. She was. I heard that after the race. So.
Any other questions for Eileen?
Okay. Eileen's age today is what? What is Eileen's age today?
I was born 1945. I'm 70.
Wonderful.
Oh,
wonderful.
Wow.
And, I always said it took me a long time to warm up. They said that at the track, my last mile was 6:46 that topped the field. I was lapping people. They had started too fast. I just believe in staying at the back of the pack and running, in getting warmed up, and then you feel like running. I was always that way.
Well, for the record, Eileen ran the second half of that race 23 minutes faster than the first half.
Wow.
Great. And only God gave me good knees and good, and I've always been 10 to 20 pounds over what other runners 110. I was always 130, 140, whatever. That last track run in 1975, I weighed 155, but I finished still. I did have a problem, eating a little too much sometimes. Anyway, but right now, after the cancer treatment, I'm 105 pounds. Oh, I went down to 89 during treatment. but I have never been that small in my life. But I eat organic. Yes, I love that. Mm-hmm. All the way.
Wow.
Okay, let's have Marge talk about her career. Marge Hickman.
Okay. Well, first, too, I'd like to say it's great to have everybody on the line here. It's been a long time seeing or talking to anybody, and for Gary to put this together, it's really a pleasure and an honor to be included in this. I grew up back east, and I was always a short, chubby little girl, never exercised. When I got out of school, I had a friend move to Colorado, and I came out here on vacation. I ended up cutting my vacation short. I moved back to Pennsylvania and quit my job, moved here 2 weeks later, and just from then on, I've just been immersed in athletics of one kind or another. I ended up initially joining an athletic club where I played racquetball for probably 3-4 years and worked myself up to an A player and would travel all over the state to do tournaments. And then one day somebody asked, they started a running group, and I got into that and found that thinking that I was really not able to do anything, found that I could do well at racquetball and started running and started doing well. And probably for me, my beginning was, my dream was to qualify for the Olympics and for the first Olympic trials in 1984. So I started training for that. I bought my first pair of running shoes at Frank Shorter Sports from Jim Butera, who is the founder of the Leadville Trail 100. He sold me my running shoes and invited me to join his ultra running club, which I did. He put together group runs up here in the mountains and all over the place, and boy, I fell hook, line, and sinker. So he really coached and got me going and inspired to try to qualify for the trials. And I don't think I ever worked so hard, putting in some 120-mile weeks and speed work. So I went, and one of my proudest moments was my parents never were involved with my running, but they did come to the Virginia Beach Marathon in 1984 where I did try to qualify. And I just missed. I needed to run a 2:52.16, and I ran a 2:56. And 3 women qualified, and I didn't. So it broke my heart, and came back to Denver and talked to Jim about it, that I didn't qualify. And he said, well, Marge, why don't you come run the 50-miler next weekend out at Chatfield Reservoir in Denver? And I was so broken-hearted, I didn't want to do anything. But he said, oh, come on. And I felt really good. So I went and did the 50-miler the very following Saturday, and I won it. And so be it. Here I am today, 32 years later, and I'm still running the hundreds. So it's unbelievable to myself that I'm even still doing this, and so forth and so on. But anyway, I did finish the 50 in good shape. I ran training. He obviously then he said he had started the 100-miler here, and in the Leadville Trail 100 started in '83, of which there were 45 entrants, only one woman, which was Carol LaPlante. Unfortunately, she didn't finish, so I had to do it. So I was up here in '83, entered in 84, and in 84 it was only 3 women. Carol came back, myself, and Terry Gerber, and sprained both ankles, tripping on tree roots, and so it was one of the worst memories of Leadville, but it was also one of my proudest that I hung in there and finished. I didn't want Terry to be the only woman, and outside of Colorado from California to be the only woman to finish. Carol dropped out again, and so Terry Gerber beat me, but like an hour and 20 minutes or something, and I finished, crossed the finish line, and sat down, and I never got up again. I had to be carried away. I was just a mess. I couldn't walk. My ankles were like grapefruits, and so then, next year I had to come back, and in 85 is the year that I did win Leadville. I took about an hour and a half off my time from the year before, and the next following 4 to 5 years, I just was the bridesmaid. I finished second place for the next, like I say, I think 4 years or so, and then maybe a third place. And one of those was to Randy Bromka here on our phone. She won one of those following years after I did, and I came in second behind her, as well as Maureen Gardy and Linda Lee. So anyway, I kept plugging away, and I obviously, too, have slowed down over the years, but my other great memory is when I got my 10th finish at Leadville. I was also the 10th overall finisher of Leadville between the men and the women, and that was just awesome to break into the top 10 for my 10th finish. So I've since then, and all these years, I love the running as well. I'm dedicated to it. I have volunteered up here since day one, since 1984, for both the 100 as well as the 100-mile mountain bike race. My husband and I have been aid station captains ever since the mountain bike race, and that's like 21 years that we've been doing that. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not sure everyone knows that you live in Leadville.
Yes, I do. I live just outside of Leadville. We live at about, our elevation here is 10,450, and I'm sitting here looking out the window at Mount Elbert, which is 10,433 feet. So I think about running hundreds every day, you guys, every day.
Oh, my. Excellent.
So,
Marge,
anyway,
This is Lou Payton, and I met you during the Grand Slam of '89. But what year did you make your 10th finish at Leadville and were 10th overall? What year was that?
Oh, you would ask me that, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm just curious.
Let's see, I started in 84, 90. It could have been the early 90s, Lou. I'd have to look that up almost because, back in those days, I had a broken arm, I had plantar fasciitis, I had both heels cut, and surgeries kind of in between there, and I was entered in Leadville, but I couldn't do it. So I would almost say I'd have to look that up, Lou, because I'm not real sure. But
that's very good. I enjoyed hearing about it.
Oh yeah, and I just, and since Lou's there, I tell you, the experience of the four of us doing the Grand Slam in, was it 88 or 89?
89. Yes,
89.
89.
You, Helen Klein, myself, and Susie finishing the Grand Slam, first of the women to ever do that, the four of us together. So
awesome.
That was also one of the hardest things I think I have ever done. That was tough.
And the encouragement between the women, I thought, was just remarkable. How we each encouraged the other to come on, hang in here, let's do it.
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
yeah.
And I remember, too, being Susie and I were close together in Wasatch for the last one. And there were people, after you did Chin Scraper Ridge, and you're going all along through that hillside, there were people all over that mountainside, above you, below you, all over the place. And I remember Susie and I yelling to each other, "Are you on the trail?" "No, I don't know." "Are you?" "No, you come down to me." "No, I'll come up to you." And there were people way below us, and the trail markings were just terrible, but it was scary at times because you just didn't really know if you were on the course or not.
Right.
But that was pretty incredible. Thank goodness they gave us 36 hours to finish it. Back then. So, but anyway, I tell you guys, I love it. We have 4 cabins that are vacation rentals in Twin Lakes, and what's keeping me going is people who are renting one of our cabins from April to August this year, and they're first-timers, newbies, want to finish the 100. They rented one of our cabins for 6 months, and they want me to train with them. And so I tell you, I meet more people and make more girlfriends at the training camps, and I run with them, we talk to them, I give them tips, and, they are still my friends today that I'm just blessed to have so many good running friends and helping these younger women. And there's even one who got her from back in the late 70s when I belonged to a running club out of Denver. She now, every year I see her at Leadville. She last year, just got her 11-year finish at Leadville. And she and I ran together in the running club in the late 70s, and I got her into running ultras, and we've been dear friends ever since, and she just finished her 11th Leadville, and she said, "Marge, I couldn't have done it without you." And I tell you, I just broke into tears. So
yes,
it's thrilling. I wish I could run like Ann did in the past, but I got to tell Ann, when you were up here in Leadville and that in past years, and watching you run all those years we were doing it at the same years, I tell you, I dreamt about you, and I would try to picture myself running like you, like a deer, and just comfortable and so easy. You had such a great stride, and I just thought, boy, if I could just run like Ann. So I always tried to run like you, Ann, and but I always ate your dust. But it was really a pleasure to watch and have you up here at Leadville, too, all those years you were coming here. So anyway, so I don't know if there's much more. The year of 84, training for Leadville after that 50-mile win, I ran every mountain marathon there was up here. I won Steamboat, Boulder, Estes, Aspen Marathon. I won the first annual. And I tell you, that's what really got me to really have some good times at Leadville, was running all the marathons along the way. So, and I like to see, I think Leadville is kind of grown so much over these years. It being an out and back course, I think with the numbers of people they've let into the race has somewhat taken away the quality and the camaraderie and even some safety issues on an out and back 100-mile course. We did lose a guy, a fella in the 100-mile mountain bike race this year who passed away near the end of the race. But It's a lot of the talk I hear is that some of the ultras are getting too big and getting a little bit too money hungry and commercial, and I agree to that to a point, and I definitely prefer the older years when they were more warm and fuzzy and hometown friendly, and so I don't know, but I do think ultra running is still growing, and I always try to encourage it and get younger folks into trying it anyway. So, and only for me, I would say also on some of these questions you gave us, Gary, race organizers and leaders who were in my era, definitely Jim Butera, number one by far. Ken and Marilee have perpetuated the Leadville Trail 100 over the years after Jim, and now Lifetime Fitness has it, but I think they're building it into much more of a commercial situation than what I like to see. But people like Ann inspired me for many years, and other than Helen and Norm Klein, who were the race directors for Western States, and then, well, Lou, you were for Arkansas Traveler, but I've pretty much kept my base here in Colorado, other than the Grand Slam and some marathons outside of the country in that, but I have some 100-mile course records that I used to have at Umstead, Kettle, Moraine, Mohegan. I'm sure they're definitely gone by the wayside now. I've also been awarded Sportswoman of the Year here in Colorado 3 times, and I'm now in the Hall of Fame, and pretty much just kept plugging away. I love it, but trying to do the hundreds has gotten far more difficult over the last couple of years. So I'm not sure if I'm going to run Leadville this year or not. I'm not signed up for it, but if I get motivated, I guess I will jump in and try to do it. So, so I don't know. I guess that kind of wraps it up for me, you guys.
No, Marge, you are my hero. This is Randy. You are still my hero.
Oh, well, that's
and this is Eileen, and you. What inspiration you are, Marge. Oh, my. Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll only throw in there, I have finished Leadville 16 times.
Wow.
But 2 of those are over 30 hours, however. So if Dixie Matson was on the phone, I could relate to her in one of her last years running Leadville and being over 60. She really tried to get them to lengthen the cutoff times for people over 60. And here I am, 66, and last year I didn't finish. I had a half hour to spare at Winfield. I had terrible blisters, so I didn't think I could get back over Hope Pass and get into Twin Lakes in time, so I just dropped out at 50. But I know exactly what Dixie was talking about now, because now being 66, trying to make those cutoffs is really hard, and they will not budge on the cutoff times. So, which I think is a little a shame, but anyway, it is what it is. But it's definitely harder being this old, and your heart still feels like 30. The body's 60, and it's just really hard to do it. So I'm just not sure if I'm going to run Leadville this year or not. But if I get motivated, I may just enter it and see how far I get. So. So thanks, you guys.
I'll be thinking of you. This is Eileen. I sure will be praying and thinking of you in all your dreams.
Oh, thanks, Eileen. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Randy, you got the floor.
All right, thank you. Gary, first of all, I just want to thank you so much for your dedication to capturing the history of our sport, of all long-distance running, but particularly the ultra stuff. And I happen to have met your father one time in New York City and have to confess that I was so starstruck I couldn't say anything. I was in the presence of royalty, and it was great. Thanks for including me in this podcast. It had never occurred to me until recently that I could be considered a pioneer of anything. A young ultra friend recently said, "Oh my God, you're a legend," and I was like, "What? No, legends are old people." It didn't seem to fit, and then I got Gary's email about being a pioneer, so I have to accept it. I just want to start by saying, like a lot of other people who took up running as adults, my decision to start running was to replace a bad habit. I decided to quit smoking, and every time the urge struck to have a cigarette, I would go for a run. And I was replacing, a bad habit with a good habit. The very first day I went for 1 mile and almost threw up in the bushes. And the next day it was 1.5 miles, and the day after that it was 3 miles. And what started out as running with a vengeance became running with glee. I embraced it. It became my way of breathing, of living. And the first summer, I picked up a couple of mentors who would just start, run up behind me and start chatting. One of those mentors is Javier Sendejas, who I'm sure many of you have met. And he ran up behind me during one of my morning runs, and I was always told, you don't look back because it's a sign of weakness. And so I didn't. And pretty soon I heard the footsteps coming closer, and this wonderful voice said, "Oh, pretty lady, please tell me you're not married." So that was how I met Javier Sendejas. It took a long time, but I finally convinced him to go up Hope Pass, and that was sort of his introduction to the Leadville 100. He wouldn't run ultras at that point because he was still playing the piano as a concert pianist and was afraid of falling on his fingers. But I brought him up because he's actually running a 24-hour race today in Missouri, and I'm just wishing him well. But it's those kind of mentors. Marge was saying people she met in the 70s. Well, this was summer of 1984 that I met Javier, and we're still close friends today. Living in Aspen, as we did, we were so close to Leadville that I was personally acquainted with a lot of the original Leadville participants. And after I'd completed 6 marathons, now keep in mind I'd started running in April of 84, and by the summer of 87 I had done 6 marathons. And I was looking for a way to up the ante. And so I thought, well, I could either go faster or I could go farther. So I tried a couple track workouts and discovered that I wasn't built for it, and decided to go farther. And so knowing people like, Arthur Schwartz and Barry Mink, who were 2 doctors from Aspen. Arthur was one of the very first entrants at Leadville and ran it, 9 years in a row, 8 years in a row. 1 year he got hit by a car, and we ran in his honor. We took his race number through the event. But knowing them and knowing Skip Hamilton, and then I got to know Maureen Gardy, I just kept thinking I have to go do this Leadville 100. So in 86, that summer, Maureen Gardy and a friend and I went over just with the printed trail directions for Leadville and tried to find the trail up Hope Pass. We ended up at the top of Mount Hope instead, which was interesting, but we decided to call it a good training run. And Maureen won the race that year in 86, so I decided to give it a go in 87. At that point, Skip Hamilton, who'd been a winner, had cautioned me that I really should have many years of running base before trying ultras, and I figured 3 years was good enough. So I entered Leadville. Actually, I did a 50-miler 5 weeks before that was organized by prolific runner Trishul Churns. And that race started in Vail, Colorado, and it was a road race. And I think there were 23 of us, and I was the only woman. And ironically, I beat all the men that day. And that was my very first ultra, so I kind of figured I was on to something. And he went on to Leadville 5 weeks later and won the 87 race, which I'm sure, excuse me again, I'm sorry. Pardon me. Marge will remember 87 as one of the years that it rained for 22 out of the 24 hours I was on the trail.
Yes,
and yeah, that was the year that Ken Clover looked at the video and said, "Oh my God, it was raining so hard. I had a brook trout pass me on the way up Hope Pass."
Oh my! Oh, I remember that too, because the trails were like water creeks. It was just gushing.
They were troughs and filled with water. It was crazy. So I was so glad to have not only entered but finished and won my first 100-miler, and very lucky that the night before that race, a knock came on my hotel room door, and it was the fellows from Spenco, the company that makes the footbeds and Second Skin and all those great products. And they were looking for someone to sponsor for the race. They wanted somebody to run in their T-shirt. And I was like, well, sure, okay. And it was the beginning of a great relationship. I felt so lucky to have gained a sponsor that early in my running career. It took me everywhere I needed to go. They paid airfare, they paid race entry fees, they'd pay me finish bonuses, media bonuses, and basically that's what enabled my running career to happen, because I was working as a shop manager and waitress. There was no way I could have funded the kind of racing that I got to do without a sponsor. And let's see, from there I went on to running, I ran in England, Switzerland, Australia. I was a participant in the last Westfield run, which unfortunately I wasn't able to finish because I got bronchitis during the race. I've run in the company of real champions, Ann Trayson, Kathy D'Onofrio, Marge Hickman, and Ray Clark, Marshall Ulrich, people who I just admire so much. Marshall and I stay close today. He's one of the people who has inspired not only, some of my ultra running, but he's inspired my lifestyle now, which is to identify an adventure and go get it done. And it doesn't necessarily have to be all running. Now I'm backpacking and creating a route through the Rocky Mountains that's not really on trails. Ultra running gave me the range and the fitness level and the comfort in the wilderness that has enabled me to live the way I do now.
Great. That's interesting, Randy, that you bring up those names as well, because I, too, like with Arthur Swartz, we still trade Christmas cards. And
great.
If you remember when we did run his number across the finish line for his 10th finish, I carried it. You were, and I remember we ran up the road, ran down to him. I had already finished, and when he came in, we all went down to the end of the hill and ran in with him.
That was when he finished after his injury, the year that he was out.
That's right.
When
after
he was
finished
hurt.
that next year. Yeah, that's right.
Right. When he was hurt, we took his number from the beginning to the finish, and Skip carried it through until he felt that he couldn't carry it again or anymore, and he passed it off to me when I went past him, and I brought it to the finish line, and that's how we kept his streak alive
was
running with his race number, even though he was in the hospital in dire straits.
Right. You're right. That's right. It was the following year. Then he came back and did run it. And I think he was probably close to 30 hours, but he did finish, and everybody ran down there and came up with him, and that was a tearjerker just seeing him being able to finish. So, yeah. And Skip Hamilton, and you're right, Marshall. I mean, Marshall came to some of my banquets when I won Colorado Sportswoman, and he and Teresa Weber. Marshall is one special man. I don't know how he's done it all these years too. But anyway, you're bringing up some great names in Skip Hamilton. And on that note, and I don't certainly want to monopolize some time here, but you know, Randy, we should talk later because I'm starting to write a book, and I'm trying. I would really like to know where Skip Hamilton, and I was thinking of trying to put in some other ultra runners, little quotes or little memorable stories of their days of doing Leadville, because I truly feel...
We'll be in touch about that.
Okay, because I think Jim Butera needs to get the credit for starting Leadville, and I just want to write a book, and I'd like to get in touch with some of those folks. So, but okay.
No worries, we'll do that.
Okay, great.
One of the things I wanted to mention was that after running like 9 years of ultras and racing a lot during that time, I hung up my running shoes for a while and actually didn't race anything for 18 years. But during that time, I was able to do things like alpine ski racing and snowboarding and fly fishing. I worked as a guide. My husband and I horse-packed a great distance on the Continental Divide Trail. And I finally came back to running 4 years ago because I woke up on January 1st and realized I was going to be 60 and decided to run a marathon on my birthday. So I managed to pull that off, and I've worked my way up to, I did a 50-miler last August, and don't have any races on my schedule this summer simply because my husband had been through some health issues, and we've been kind of biding our time. But I'm definitely going to do probably a 3 to 4 week solo backpacking trip this summer, and probably fill in some of the spaces with some races as I can.
Good for you. Good.
Yeah, tremendous.
Very good.
Questions for Randy? You mentioned sponsorship. Was that at all common? Did others have sponsors?
I think it was not common at that point. But I got lucky because Spenco was there at Leadville that year because they had sponsored Skip Hamilton, and then I ended up going to all the trade shows with them, the big National Sporting Goods show, the Super Show, and some bicycle shows and that sort of thing. And I also picked up, I had Heinz clothing and high-tech shoes for quite some time. I was doing shoe testing for them. And I'm sure, Ann, you probably had quite a few sponsors from the get-go, didn't you?
She may not be on. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that Ann had sponsors. Well, I remember she ran for Nike for years.
Right.
But it made the travel possible. So that's what enabled me to get to so many races and garner so many good results, was that I had somebody to pay the airfare. And it's exciting to see all the sponsorship involvement now in ultra running.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I was on the mute because my dog barks.
Oh,
so
no
that
problem.
Yeah, she's out. No, I was very fortunate that I had Nike as a sponsor, and they still are. If you're Nike, they don't want any other kind of sponsorship affiliated with your clothing. But they were quite good to me, and I always felt very fortunate, the same as Randy, that I was able to travel a lot. And I would never have gone to Comrades or even have been able to afford to go to Europe the times that I did. And that was one of the things Ruth and I shared. She also was sponsored by Nike. People forget that. But at the time, we were the two only ultra women that were sponsored by Nike.
It was yourself and who, Ann?
Ruth Anderson.
Oh, Ruth, right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So she, and I remember when she was, maybe turned 70, she said they dumped me. She was so upset that she wrote a letter to.
Oh, no, ageism at its worst.
Yes. Well, I always knew it would come to an end at some point, and I was very distraught. I was so grateful that they allowed me to pick most of the races. So it wasn't like I had to do. They liked Comrades, but other than that, they kind of let me do what I wanted.
It was exciting that you were able to do Comrades, because for so many years we weren't able to go because of the apartheid and the sanctions against South Africa.
Oh, yeah, no, and also that people forget that Alberto Salazar really paved the way to allowing. He was the first American really to go.
Right.
I think one of the first after apartheid was lifted.
Right.
And because Comrades has a lot of rules. No one's done it. So it's very English. And you have to be part of the team, but Nike isn't a team.
Ah.
So, and because Alberto's Alberto, he can do whatever. So he went more to a swoosh, and they didn't get upset. But when Ann showed up, they were like, "You can't wear your Nike." And I'm like, "I can't wear my swoosh?" So we had to I had to meet with RD and Alberto and was on a conference call a few days before the race and got the authorization that it was okay for me to wear my Nike uniform.
Oh, goodness. Well,
yeah. Talk about a little pressure you don't want before a race. I mean, people may not realize it. I mean, like, the race director for Comrades, it's a pretty powerful position. He has a beautiful office. And I was like, holy moly. It was like getting taken to, like, the principal's office. So, and Nike was saying that, they were saying, well, if they don't allow you to wear your Nike uniform, then you can't run. So it was
Whoa, that's tough. That's harsh.
Wow.
So it all worked out fine. I was really glad. Oh, I did it one year up and 1 year. Oh, the first, it was the up, and then the next year I did down, and by then that whole issue had been resolved. They didn't bring it up again.
Right. So, well, again, you were a pioneer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happens. There's still now, when people go there, they have instructions to foreigners. Like, you can't wear any, logos of any other company if it's not an official sponsor of the race. Or you'll get disqualified.
The only event I was in like that was the Westfield run, where everything you're wearing has Westfield emblazoned on it. But that run ended in 1991. That was an exciting year to be there, because they had a disagreement with Yanis Kouros, and his manager was trying to get more money out of the race organizers, and they wouldn't give. And so Yanis ran his own race concurrent with the Westfield run. And it was kind of an intriguing year to be there.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry, guys. I got cut off and dropped, so I got back on. So.
Okay, sorry about that.
And did anyone run London to Brighton? I just wondered. This is Eileen.
I dropped out. I think I think Ruth might have done it. I tried to, but I had really bad knee injury. It was before I had ACL surgery. I always wanted to, because I just thought it was one of the premier ultras.
Wasn't that one that Eleanor won a bunch of times?
Yes, and I've been in contact with Eleanor.
I have been too. Usually at Christmas.
She keeps saying that we're going to bicycle across the United States together. So,
well,
I'm hoping that
very
happens.
avid cyclist. That would be really cool.
Wow. That sounds fun.
It does sound a lot of fun, but
boy,
for the record, Gary, we're talking about Eleanor Adams Robinson, just for the recorded record.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, her husband passed away. What she told me a few years ago.
Yeah, it was really
been very, yeah.
I have a question. Those that ran both the roads and the trails, describe, your feelings about both.
I always felt, faster on roads, obviously, but to me, the trails are the reason for running that long. They enrich everything so much that, I won't run roads at all anymore. I did a road marathon in a couple years ago, and I was thrilled with my time, but I won't go back.
Yeah, I ran a road marathon a couple years ago too, and placed in my age group or whatever. But I tell you, I was more sore after that road race than I was after running 100. My legs just, I can't do pavement anymore.
The only reason I ran that one was, I'm sorry, Gary, go ahead.
Identify yourselves.
That was Marge.
Okay.
And this is Randy. I was just going to say the only reason I ran that road marathon was because after the bombing, I wanted to qualify to go to Boston, and went and ran the St. George Marathon and managed to beat my Boston qualifying time by 45 minutes, but decided not to go after all because for the price, I could do 5 races in Colorado for what it would have cost me to go run Boston.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Well, and I'd only throw in as far as I think I missed some. I heard this is Marge talking about sponsorships with your Spenco, Randy. I think back in my second years of Leadville, I was lucky to get I can't remember his last name, Dana, who was the founder of the company of the Ultra Fanny Packs.
Ultimate Direction. This is Ann. Yeah, Ultimate Direction.
And they sponsored me for quite a number of years, and I still have my original backpacks that they gave me back in the early mid-'80s, and I just don't have the heart to get rid of them, but I have to say my husband uses them, so that as well helped me. And then when I lived in Kansas for 5 years, I got sponsored by, I worked for Power Bar, and they sponsored me, and then a number of years later Goo sponsored me, so I had more goo than I could swallow, and just found I had to start giving it away. But I think for us early women pioneers and stuff like that, when even though race fees were not as nearly as expensive, but traveling around all these different races, having a sponsor and getting some free gear and product really, really helped a lot. And Nike sponsored me for a few years with their all-terrain gear, the AG gear, it was something ATG gear. So I'd get jackets and they'd send me shoes and stuff too. And I'll tell you, that was sure a lifesaver, being able to get some freebies to help along the way.
Well, the difference now is in my 60s, I'm traveling to races in our pickup truck, which has a shell on the back. I camp in the truck and try to enter races as early as possible to get the lowest entry fee. And everything's on a budget. Totally different animal.
Right. Well, what they need today, too, guys, is that all these races, and Randy, I didn't enter Collegiate Peaks. all these races, they want a $25, they want to force you to enter it online, and then they charge you a $25 entry service charge on top of the race fee. And Buena Vista is doing that for Collegiate Peaks this year, and I called and they won't
I didn't even try.
Yeah, they won't let me mail them a check. They say you have to do it online. And I thought, I'll be darned if I'm going to pay a service charge, so I'm not doing it.
No.
But, what happened in the good old days?
I have to say
Can you hear me? Oh.
Hi, Ann, yeah.
Well, I'll just tell you all, ladies, that all of you get a free entry into the Overlook. I love talking to people.
That's so sweet.
Yes, you can just email me privately, and I'll send you a coupon for Ultra Sign Up, and you can get in free.
Oh, yeah, I'll come in.
I make no money off of this race because I comp all my friends.
Well, we could make you a donation, Ann. We'll make you a donation.
Well, I'll have it. Any kind of extra that I do make, I donate to some animal cause. So it's just a passion of mine to do. But I would love to have you guys come and really seriously just email me, and I can set up a coupon for you.
That's awesome.
Cool.
This is Randy. I'm sorry, Gary. Could I make one comment? This is Randy. I'm just wondering how many of us have run for various charities over the years, and I mean, have used ultra running as an amazing way to raise money for good causes.
This is Mark. I've done some, but it was more for marathons for the leukemia or cancer or the breast cancer runs. They're probably about the only ones I've ever done. I haven't done any charity as far as ultras go, but more marathons.
What brought that up was the Megan's Run 24-hour race that they used to have in Portland. And that was a fundraiser for sudden infant death syndrome research. And so that got me going on raising money for SIDS, which was a really neat thing to do for several years. And every time somebody would walk into the track with a little kid in a backpack, I'd just run harder. So it was always good inspiration.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, nice.
I had one last question, just briefly, the state of the sport, and what would you like to see different? Just briefly, what do you like, what do you dislike, and what needs to be changed, if anything?
The races, this is Randy, the races I've been competing in have been, pretty low-key, small events, and I have shied away from going to any events that are like Lifetime Fitness, big companies. One of the organizers that I frequent here is called Gecko, and it's Giving Every Child Knowledge of the Outdoors. And all their races raise money to send kids to the National Outdoor Leadership School. So I try to stay with real low-key events with small entry fields. I just think that harkens back to my roots in the sport and keeps me interested.
Right. And they're very good, Randy. This is Marge. Gecko is very good, and they've put on a marathon in Leadville just a year or two now. But, yes, all their money goes to the youth programs and that, and I've met those guys, and they're all very, very good, and I like what they're doing.
Any other feelings about the sport? Please.
This is Ann. Because, people ask me that all the time. It's like this thing, like, I think it's awesome that it's grown. There are a lot more people who are doing it. And like Randy said, you can pick what races you can do now. We have much more of an option. If you want a big, high-profile race, you can do it. What I think's awesome on a personal level is that you don't have to hide and be embarrassed that you do an ultra and people think you're crazy. Yeah. And it really used to be that way. And now people are like, oh, have you done Western States? And I'm like, you've heard of it. So and I think and now the 200 is the big thing. And I just think if it gets people out there and people can find their passion and more people, that's great.
Right.
And the nice thing is there's such a variety. If you don't like the huge Leadville, there's a smaller race, that you can do, like Randy's doing. So I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased at the direction the sport is going overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's exciting to hear so many people saying, oh, I've done a 50K or I've done a 50-miler, because they used to look at us and just say, what, are you nuts? And yeah, I agree. It's become much more acceptable to have done ultras.
Yeah, I agree too. I think it's more people are aware of ultra running, it seems. And you're right when you say people ask, yeah, well, have you done Western States, or have you done Wasatch or this and that? People seem to be more knowledgeable of the various 100-milers that we have today. But
doctors are more accepting. So I had knee surgery a week ago, a little torn meniscus thing, Bob. Not bad. But even my surgeon wasn't like, he just, before they'd say you'd never run again, and he just looked and he said, I know how much it means to you, so I'm not going to tell you not to run. But be careful.
because they know you'll go run anyway.
Well, that's another good reason to always pick an ultra running doctor.
Yes.
Well, this guy has done a lot of I don't know if anyone remembers Maureen Bartley. She was on one of the 100K, yeah. So it was her surgeon. Yeah. She tore her meniscus, so he's a doll. But anyway, that's it's kind of nice.
Oh.
Well, speedy recovery, Ann.
Oh, yeah, no, it's going really well.
Before I stop the recording, any closing thoughts anyone wants to offer?
Well, I'll throw one out there. This is Marge. I need pacers for the 100.
Wow.
I'll probably give it a go, but, so anyway, my problem is I always wait too late, and I get training. I'm so busy with stuff that it gets close to race day, and I am in a panic, and I can never find any pacers up here because they're all taken.
Well, I'm supposed to pace. This is Ann. I'm supposed to pace Delmar Farley. We had a bet. If he lost 25 pounds, I'd pace him, and I just had to tell him that it's probably not going to happen this year. But I feel terrible.
Are you planning to come up, Ann?
Yes, I don't know. I was going to come up because of Delmar. I have a wedding I have to go to in Washington in early August, so I don't know if I'll be able to swing it. But I'd like to come back to Leadville.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's going to stick in my craw, even though I've done it so many times, not finishing last year leaves unfinished business, and I am thinking about retiring or from ultra running and moving in different directions, but I would like to finish Leadville on a high note with a finish, and that's one of my goals, but every year it gets harder to do that, so we'll see. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out as a joke as well, but if I do it, I do need pacers.
Well, this is Ann again. I've always thought that the cutoffs at Leadville were cool, and thought that they should. I mean, there's so many races now that have 48 hours, and there's one, if you want to get in 100, it's hysterical. I don't know if everyone knows about the Run for the Ages that Gary Cantrell puts on.
I'd love to go do that.
Yeah, well, it's not that exciting. It's a 1-mile sort of loop in a place called Dead Man Park.
It looks awful. I mean, it looks ugly, but I would love to go see everybody.
Yep, it was the biggest reunion. It was a blast.
This is Lou Payton. This is Lou, and I wanted to ask you, Ann, if you were going to go to that again, because I had the time of my life there. It was wonderful.
It was a blast. Laz emailed me and said that he'd comp my entry, but so on that note, I was like, "Oh, it'll be hard." My surgeon said I could hike it.
Yes.
So
yes.
He was there. I even asked him about it. He just shook his head. He was like, "What are you talking about?"
Well, of course, I think you should do it. If you get a comped entry, you should do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Where is that one?
Dead Man Park in Tennessee. It's a couple, maybe an hour and a half south of Nashville.
Ah. Okay.
I can't remember what the town. Do you remember the town name? I can't remember.
Manchester, I believe. Is it Manchester?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Manchester. You're absolutely right.
Right. And I say, and if you go, buy the food too, because that helps. It gives you something to look forward to have the catered food. I thought it was wonderful.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Wow.
Wow.
It was really, really fun.
This was great.
Did anyone do a 24-hour track run?
Yeah. I did. Marge, I did back in the day too, in between 83, 4, 5.
Wow.
Jim Butera also did a track run, and I did 110 miles in 24 hours, and I won that one.
Oh my gosh, that's so.
And that was back. They wouldn't change directions, so we ran on the track for 24 hours going in one direction.
That's what we did at Megan's run too. Yeah, Megan's run in Oregon was the same way. And I ended up cutting a notch out of the heel of my left shoe. Because it was on the inside turn, and it just got my Achilles swelled up.
Oh my! Wow, that's amazing. Well, I sure wish. Gary, are you going to maybe send us all, or let us all know everybody's phone number or email address so that we can be in touch?
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Now I'm going to end the recording now and thank everybody. And hang on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. The plan is to have. I'm going to send an email around to everybody, and just be sure everyone's comfortable with it, sharing their email. I have a spreadsheet with everybody's name and email, and I'll circulate that around. I'll give it a couple of weeks, see if someone doesn't want to remain on the list, and just take them off and go from there. But that would be a next step, and I hope to do at least one more conference call. There's a number of other people I think that are interested in participating.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Gary. It's really an honor.
It's really wonderful to be included.
Well,
yes.
It's an honor and privilege for me to hear your stories, because my ultra knowledge is more pre-1980 and really pre-1970s. I didn't follow the sport that much, and I'm more East Coast kind of centric. So to learn your stories has been fascinating, and look forward to hearing more in time.
Okay.
Well, come out and run the trails in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
My daughter lives in Colorado.
Okay,
so
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.